Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special video episode of Health Matters with Laura Kopec. I'm your host, Laura Kopec, traditional naturopath, functional practitioner, functional genomics specialist, and life coach, and of course, podcast and video host. Here with another great episode of Health Matters, Laura Kopec. This episode and all my episodes are for informational and educational and entertainment purposes only and are not a substitute for medical advice. Okay, today's topic is, do I have to take these supplements? I get a lot of questions, and I know that people have questions even before they come in to see me in an appointment about taking supplements. Am I taking too many? Do I have to take some at all? What are good ones? What ones should I just take? What ones should I give my family? All right, so let's start with the amount of supplements that people are wondering if they have to take. My personal opinion is that there's two kinds of supplements. Treatment supplements, or ones that are done short-term to get the body out of crisis and to bring the body back into balance. That's often a technique of a functional practitioner, such as myself. Usually, those kinds of supplements should have a beginning and an end date. Their frequency, duration, dosage, all could be adjusted based on functional testing. But you should know always when you're taking a supplement or when a supplement is being recommended to you, how long should you take it for? So again, some of these are short-term. And then there's foundational supplements, the ones that are just good in general for just about everybody over the age of 4 to take. One is a good multivitamin. The other is extra vitamin D. There's never enough vitamin D in a multivitamin or even a calcium supplement or an omega that might say it has a little bit of extra vitamin D. Vitamin D is dosed according to weight, not to ever exceed 10,000 IUs for an adult in a 24-hour period. And also a good probiotic that can be part of a foundational supplement. Extra magnesium. Most of us are not getting our minerals. We might be getting our vitamins. We're not getting extra minerals. Magnesium is one of the most depleted minerals in that we're experiencing. Part of it is because it's mostly found in the topsoil. Rich topsoil provides nutrients into those plants, and we have depleted topsoil. And it's not even that organic farming might have more, it's that we use large farming equipment to mass produce food, and that can make it nutritionally deficient. So those are just some ideas of some basic supplements. Okay, I'll get into more details on some of these, but let's talk about the quality of supplements. I think a lot of people would like supplements to be affordable. We all would, right? And sometimes the affordability in the price point is not really reflective of the quality. So if your vitamin, your supplement, is not being absorbed properly, then actually the cost of that supplement could be a lot higher because you're not getting the benefits from it. So what is the cost to your health if you're purchasing something at a discounted rate and when in fact it's not being absorbed? Here's a little trick that you can do at home to help you navigate whether or not your over-the-counter supplement is being absorbed correctly. Okay, you take a little bit of white vinegar, about an inch, and don't mix your supplements in this process. Do one at a time. A little bit of vinegar, you drop the supplement into the white vinegar, set a timer for about 20 minutes. You're simulating stomach acid. You want this to be effective on pretty much everything except a probiotic. Some probiotics are designed not to break down in the stomach, so this is not an effective test on a probiotic. But everything else should be starting to melt, dissolve, break down, and become soft. If after 20 minutes and you poke it with a fork or a knife and it's still completely intact, then chances are it's not being absorbed in your stomach. It's nutrients through your small intestines. They're just not getting to your bloodstream. some of it might be absorbed in your large intestine, in your colon, but that's not where we absorb most of our nutrients. So you really could be getting maybe 20%, if that. Now you've just made a very expensive bowel movement and you don't get the benefit of that supplement. Okay, so that's a fun test you can do at home on any over-the-counter that you're doing. A lot of good quality brands advertise that they're going to be absorbed. Their absorbability is really important to them. That's part of when you know a supplement company is really invested in quality products, because they're advertising that they want it to be absorbed in your body. They want you to benefit from them. A lot of supplements, if you are taking them, you should feel the benefits. You should feel a little bit more energized with a good multivitamin. You should be able to feel a little bit more relaxed and move your bowels better with a good magnesium supplement. Vitamin D, you may not feel the benefits, but I think the big mistake that people make with vitamin D is they think they get out in the sun, they don't need it. Well, genetically, our vitamin D receptors are often carrying variants in which that sunshine is not being converted properly to a vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiencies are very, very prolific. If you are taking a good quality vitamin D supplement and it's not being absorbed, not showing up on your blood work as within normal range, chances are the amount you're taking is not enough, or you need a little bit of magnesium to help you bind that vitamin D better. Vitamin D is dosed according to weight. It is 35 IUs per pound. And that's an easy way to calculate how much IUs are in a maintenance dose. Usually age is a factor as well. And then again, not to exceed 10,000 IUs. So if somebody's weight puts them over that 10,000 IUs, they wouldn't take more than 10,000 IUs. To be sure, always get that checked with your lab work, with your practitioner to be sure. That's just a general idea that you could be taking very little vitamin D and it's going to not be enough to actually make a difference. Okay, let's talk about a few other mistakes that people make with certain supplements. I know that zinc has gotten a lot of popularity with COVID, and often I'm seeing in functional tests, zinc levels are too high. Zinc is toxic in high doses. It can often cause some nausea, some stomach issues. It can stimulate an appetite. And the important thing is that zinc is usually enough in a multivitamin. If you need extra when you're sick to treat a bacterial infection, like an upper respiratory, a sinus infection, it helps with bacteria. It does not combat viruses. It has been used in COVID treatments to help prevent secondary issues that happen with COVID, like bacterial pneumonia. It can help with a sinus infection that might coexist when you have a virus and your body's immune system is engaged by trying to fight that virus. But adding extra zinc may not be beneficial in the way that you think it is. It's not the preventative for a COVID virus. It is an extra supplement to help fight off bacterial infections. Zinc and copper are harmoniously or synergistically connected to each other, and copper helps fight viruses. So often what's happening, if people are taking a lot of zinc, then they may be depleting their copper storage, and then they are maybe even, unbeknownst to them, diminishing their body's resources to fighting a viral infection. So be really careful about treating or in a preventative manner with just zinc alone. Vitamin C, people take vitamin C to help fight extra vitamin C in cold and flu season. And again, vitamin D is the more critical nutrient. Vitamin C is great, but It also doesn't have as much star power as vitamin D, or as we think it does. It is an antioxidant, but I like to say that it's a little bit of like a lieutenant, and the general is the glutathione. That's the major antioxidant. So sometimes it takes a lot of vitamin C. Vitamin C is assisting the glutathione in fighting bacteria or viral infections. So it has its place. Again, relying on vitamin C is preventative. Without taking vitamin D, you might not be providing yourself with as much prevention as you possibly could. There's some great functional tests out there that really measure these nutrients and let you know, hey, am I absorbing the money I'm spending on supplements? Am I taking too much of something? Am I taking too little of something else? So sometimes getting almost like yourself fingerprinted in terms of what should I be taking. Even all probiotics are not made the same. And sometimes the probiotic is actually helpful, and sometimes actually could be making your digestive system symptoms worse. It doesn't mean, oh, I can't take a probiotic, you know, it makes me feel bad. Maybe that the probiotic was not the right fit, and you need something very, very specific to what is going on in your body. Our gut microbiome is as unique as our fingerprint. So wouldn't we want that kind of information and not just pull anything off the shelf? The other thing to consider is when you're using an herb as prevention. So often the body will adapt to an herb if you're taking it on an ongoing basis. So you might want to change that up, or you might want to save the herb as part of a treatment protocol, because if you use it as prevention, it may not have all the efficacy you need when you're trying to treat, when you're trying to get better from something. Autoimmune can be tricky too. If somebody has autoimmune, they may not even know if the herb is helpful or actually making their symptoms worse. And they could assume they're doing everything they can to help, and yet their symptoms keep getting worse, when in reality, they're adding lighter fluid to the fire because of the way their immune system is dysregulated in autoimmune, and they may not be getting the right match to their body and to their immune system. So you have to be really careful with herbs. And again, if you're using something for prevention and you like it, it may not be the thing that your body will be the most responsive to in terms of treatment, because there's some adaptation that goes on if that's being taken on a regular basis. It no longer has its punch, if you will, in a therapeutic scenario. The other thing I find is that your practitioner may or may not know whether or not you can take certain supplements if you're pregnant, if you're nursing. Often I find that people come in and their doctor told them something, and they're making an assumption that that recommendation fits them because it's a recommendation by their provider. But make sure you're asking questions, and make sure that anything you put in your body, you're sure is the right fit. You're sure is safe to take if you're pregnant. You're sure it's safe to take if you're nursing. And don't rely on, if a provider is recommending it, that they actually know that you should or shouldn't take it. So you have to do your due diligence. Part of why I do this podcast is to really, and videos now, to really unpack and demystify some of the confusing things out there as we're trying to navigate, optimize, and take charge of our health. Supplements can be very confusing, and I do think that they should be the least amount that we should take. And if we're taking too many, you might want to have somebody weigh in on this, really do some functional testing, and even see, is everything I'm doing a match to what's going on in my body? Does it match my cellular response? Okay, so let's back it up, right? You have a supplement protocol. You need to know if somebody's recommended this, how long you need to be taking these for, and how often you should change or update or look at that. Okay. Then functional testing is a great way to show these match my body at a cellular level. My body's responding to this. My levels look good when I take this. But functional testing is also a way to go, oh, look, I am taking too much of this. And I totally miss taking this. And it's not even in my multi. So it's a great way, again, if you're spending time, money, and energy on supplements, and you really want to know, is this a match for me? And again, good functional providers will be able to tell you, I want you to do this as a treatment to address these issues. And if your recovery is going smoothly, then we're going to be able to pull back on that. And if your recovery is not advancing to where it should be, then maybe that needs to be changed, because we can always make a good match to testing and to assessing person's symptoms. But then the reality is, what is the body doing in response to that? That's always somewhat unpredictable, because anything that we put in our mouth is now entering this community of organisms called the microbiome that also has its own society, its own intelligence, its own socialization, its own genetic profile. And so how responsive somebody is always going to be incorporated into that. Stress, diet, all that, you can take really good supplements, but if your diet is really poor, is that a good partnership? Because sometimes we have to take more supplements if diet is poor. Sometimes we're just undoing the progress we're trying to make in a supplement by just eating poorly. So there should be a partnership and a match, and finding the right balance for you is going to mean that you're doing what you need to do to feel good and to optimize your health, and making an assumption that if you see a functional provider, you're going to have to do a lot of supplements. With me, I'm always trying to help people and educate them and say, look, you don't have to do this, but then you're not going to feel this, like you're not going to recover from this issue. This area is not going to come back into balance. And again, the goal is to get the person into just good foundational supplements. Get that person into the least amount possible. If somebody needs extra anti-inflammation, if they need something for a little bit of extra focus, if they need help with mental health, just getting this nice protocol that really, so my goal is always to get somebody out of the crisis and then set them up so that they can do some good regular supplements, and that's where they thrive. And then if there's an issue that comes up and the body goes in a different direction, again, you can put that kind of protocol in place. So knowing, sometimes people are coming in, they get on the internet and they added this and they added that and they added that. Whoa, like you're doing way too much. The body can't even really respond. It's concentrated nutrients. There's this process that happens. We can't just get it from food alone anymore. But, we can't just pile these things on without really knowing how our body's responding to them. So you could be doing too much, may not be doing enough. You could be doing something and thinking you're doing right, and it's the wrong one. So in order to help everyone have a better understanding and take charge of your health, get yourself informed, and let's think about supplements a little bit differently. So we can think about, what do I need right now? Is this long-term or short-term? What's the goal to get to? And how can I take the least amount of quality supplements to optimize my health? Well, I'm glad you joined me today. I hope this was helpful and informative. I love talking about this stuff. Glad you joined me. I hope you join me again for another episode of Health Matters with Laura Kopec.